The 5 safest banks to put your money in, especially if you're retired or if you're looking forward to retirement. What are the banks now that are safe? What are the 5 safest banks you can put your money in right now? Because with the collapse of Silicon Valley Bank, I mean, everything's up in the air now, right? You want your money to be as safe as it can. Now, Silicon Valley Bank had FDIC insurance, and the government actually went above and beyond to protect your money in that. Even people with more than $250,000 got their money back. Now, we don't know if that's going to happen all the time. If the government is being generous because they wanted to give us a sense of calm, will it happen in the future? We don't know. So how do you know? How do you know what banks are safe now? There are some banks that fall under what is called G-SIB or G-SIBs. What this is the Global Systemically Important Banks. That means, yeah, it was a mouthful, right? That means these are the banks that the government does not want to fail. They will do everything in their power to keep these banks alive. So if there are any banks that you want to put your money in, it's these type of banks, okay? These G-SIB banks, they're subject to much higher regulatory function on them. The government is keeping a close eye on these banks so that there are no issues. That means that they are subject to having more capital and more liquidity on hand than other banks. In other words, this goes above and beyond FDIC insurance. This should give you a big peace of mind over putting money in these banks. They have additional security on top of FDIC because they're G-SIBs, okay? Now, the government, again, does not want these to fail. They will do everything in their power so that these banks do not fail, ever. Because if one of these banks fails, that means we could go into like a global recession. The government will not allow that to happen, okay? Also, these kinds of banks have like a staff of, or maybe not a staff, but at least 2 or 3 or 4 dedicated people that are just, overseeing risk. They are in charge of risk management at these banks. Banks like Silicon Valley Bank, if they had that at all, maybe it was a person in the back room, with like this computer from 1980, these kind of banks, the G-SIBs, will have much more government oversee and also a dedicated team for risk management. So that should assure you even more that if you put your money in these banks, your money should be good to go. So the number 1 bank is JP Morgan Chase. I have a lot of my funds in Chase. Even before I knew about this, I've had funds in Chase going back to like 1995. Okay, very, very safe bank. They are number 1 among the G-SIBs. So if you want your money to be safe, put it in Chase. Number 2, Bank of America. Bank of America, another very, very safe bank. On top of this, these banks, obviously have tons of physical locations. So if you're uneasy at all about, your money and stuff, you can go physically into these banks and check. Now, some of the problems with online banks are, yes, they can give you much better interest rate on your savings, right? But in the current economy, in the environment we're in now, are you confident that these banks are safe? Yeah, they're backed by FDIC, but are they as safe as these G-SIBs that I've mentioned, the first 2 so far? Okay, they might be. You might be confident putting some of your online savings in there. Excuse me. But do you really want to risk like a huge chunk of money in these online banks? Sure, put $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 in there, for better interest rates on your savings account. They also have other features too. Some have even given you checking accounts that have good interest on them. They also offer money markets and stuff. But do you feel safe with the bulk of your savings with these banks? The number 3 bank, Citigroup. I have some money in Citigroup as well. Not as much as with Chase, but I have a little money with them as well. Another global bank. Global. You should feel confident putting your money with this bank. Number 4, Goldman Sachs. Another big, long-standing bank that is a G-SIB that the government will never allow to fail. And number 5 on this list, Wells Fargo. Now, I don't know about you, but, Wells Fargo's had some issues lately. Signing up those like ghost checking accounts for people a couple years back. Before that, they had some issues as well. So I don't know, does that make you ring the ding, ding, ding button on Wells Fargo and say, I don't know about that. I just don't know. Hey, feel comfortable with them. They're a G-SIB. They're, backed by the government as these other 5 banks are as well. So those are the 5 banks that the government, with all the power behind them, will not let fail. They will never, or to the best of their ability, never let these fail. Okay? Now, other options you might think about, and I have some of my money in this as well, is going to the Treasury. I have some money in T-bills, 6-month T-bills, which are very safe, and I also have some money in I-bonds. These are backed by the full power of the U.S. government. Now, also within the Treasury, there is something that you can put that will act as like a savings account for you. Now, it does not bear interest. You won't get any interest from this. But if you want to just put your money, sock it someplace, go to Treasury Direct. They have an account. You can do that. Again, no interest for you, but talk about feeling safe. Take your G-SIBs and then also the Treasury. You got a lot of options here. A lot of options you can go to if you feel that your money just isn't as safe as you want it to be. Go to your credit union, go to your other places for, maybe an auto loan, maybe even a mortgage. But if you want to feel safe with just your assets of savings being as safe as they can, look at one of these G-SIBs. Those 5 that I mentioned, very, very safe. Okay? Anyway, thank you so much to all my subscribers who have been, subscribing like crazy here, leaving a lot of comments. And if any of you got some information out of this you like, consider subscribing. We're a community for moderately minded individuals that are looking to get through this tough retirement environment that we're in now. Got a lot of good ideas, bounced a lot of good ideas off each other. My name is Duane. I retired about 1.5 years ago with $500,000. Hey, things are going good so far. So think about subscribing. And if you like the video, please click like. Sorry if there's too much wind out here, but I'm in the high desert, baby, on a horse with no name. Woo! And remember, we got this.